You know, in the last 500 years or so in human history, we have seen so many profound changes. Civilization shifting from an agrarian-based civilization to industrial to electronic. And the whole shift also brought in what's more important to each of those times. And if you think about it, financial capital used to be so significantly important in the industrial world. And I think it shifted to intellectual capital in the last century, where companies with better intellectual capital began to survive and thrive. But I think it is giving away to a new form of capital, which I think is social capital. Responsible corporations that do good and be good seem to perform better than the others. And it's not only for your employees who want to get engaged with the corporations of that ilk, but also the consumers that are making a conscious choice to do business with corporations that are socially responsible. So it's a profound shift. It was through my friend Emmett Keefe, who is the CEO of iRise, who was so passionate about your mission and your organization's mission to establish a day of peace in the world and really create peace awareness in a very practical, pragmatic way and get the message out to millions and millions of people. And then, of course, a lot of my business associates, my customers, they've heard about you, they're all curious about how one man can take a mission, a simple message of peace, and make it a practical reality by establishing a day for celebration of peace. That's fantastic. That's how I came to know, and I've been really thrilled to see the amount of activities that you have done, the amount of awareness you have driven, the kinds of things people are talking and thinking and potentially changing their behavior. So one day we can indeed have peace. Two things actually, it's hard to think one thing. One is, as a business guy, as a businessman, when we're in global business, and when you go to different countries, you get to see people with different beliefs, different origins, different backgrounds, but you also get to see what drives people, their dreams, their aspirations, their hopes. They are similar, and you find a lot more commonalities than differences. And then you understand the fundamental notion that human race cannot survive and thrive without a sense of world peace. And of course, a lot of folks think that it's cliche and it's unattainable, but what you have done is through a simple message, through a simple step, you have brought the concept of world peace a reality in minds of people. And if people aren't thinking about it, you can't act on it. And if you can't act on it, you will never make one. So I think that whole notion of making it simple and creating a day and celebrating so that everybody can join hands to celebrate this day and make it a reality, it's fantastic. Awareness drives behavior, and the more aware the people of this world are, the more behaviorally, directionally right we would be. And a lot of the violence, a lot of issues happen not because people are fundamentally bad, because we fundamentally have different agenda. And the conflict of agenda is what creates violence to a large extent. So I believe in the innate goodness of human beings. Once you are aware, once you are educated, once you understand the concept of peace and how peace can help you, then by choice, you go for peace as opposed to the alternative. And I've seen this happen in parts of Asia, in parts of Africa, parts of Latin America, where when we go there and start doing business and people get good daily wages, they start thinking that maybe if they do well, they can give their children a better life. Suddenly people who are engaged in activities of violence shift, because if given a choice, most of them would dedicate themselves to peaceful means. So what you're doing is giving them a hope, giving them awareness, giving them education as to how you could bring practical peace. The whole notion of celebrating the peace on a single day when the whole humanity looks at and celebrates this as a day is key, because when we look at commerce, World commerce cannot occur without world peace. Okay, it's not sustainable if there is no peace. So our mission, UST's mission, is to go train people all over the world, give them a hope, give them jobs in knowledge economy. And by doing that, we can bring peace to those communities, because when I look at it, the biggest cause for potential damage for for peace and prosperity is the lack of employment of educated youth. When educated youth do not have employment or they have underemployment, typically that's grounds for something bad to happen. So we go in those areas, we create these jobs, and we've seen these communities transform themselves. But it's not sustainable unless we are bound by a fabric of peace. And I think that's where the Peace One Day message comes into play, because then we can give them a roadmap to how to achieve peace in those communities that they operate in, and therefore potentially dedicate the human energy that goes into alternate means to something that's truly productive for themselves, their families, and their communities. Very excited, absolutely excited, because two things that are important. One is the whole concept of creating jobs and thereby bringing in peace, and Peace One Day's message of world peace and how communities can help. There is such a great alignment. The second thing is we are fundamentally a technology company. We are all about how to bring in technology for the benefit of corporations, small businesses, and regular people. And we believe that technology might be one of the greatest levelers available today and for the future. As you know, many of the countries recently went through some revolution, primarily enabled by the technology, the advent of technology for consumers who can get equal access to information through their cell phones, who can educate their families, who can get healthcare, who can make money because suddenly things have been leveled because of technology. So there is so much match between the technology and creating a global citizen and the work of peace that you are doing in creating a global peace agenda. Commerce, in my view, would influence a whole series of political policies and consumer behaviors. And when corporations get involved, people who work for those mega corporations, people who they sell to, people who supply to these corporations, is a huge cascading network of people who now understand that peace is not just an ethereal mission, but it's a really serious commercial, economic, and social phenomenon. And to give legitimacy to the movement, we need to have all aspects, and corporations will play a huge part in this agenda that you're thinking. And that's why I'm very excited about this coalition. I think there are a number of things. First and foremost, we want to operate in a world which is peaceful. Yeah. Commerce is critically dependent on peaceful nation. And the second thing is really about our own employees. I am in a business of information technology, so we attract computer scientists and we attract highly qualified individuals in tens of thousands of numbers. Now, these folks can go work anywhere in the world to any company, so they can be successful anywhere. But our promise to them is, if you want to be successful, you have lots of options. But if you want to be significant, there are only a few options. So we want to give them a path to be significant by coming to UST, not only to do commercial opportunity, but also help in the mission of bringing peace. And I can tell you, I've talked to thousands of my employees, and they couldn't be more excited than to participate in something like this. So it has a huge benefit for the corporation. Oh, there is, I could think of lots of channels, lots of mediums. We are constantly, communicating to tens of thousands of employees. Through our customers, we reach hundreds of millions of people around the world who consume those services and those products. We already serve hundreds of Global 1000 customers that we can get into this coalition. Many of them have already expressed interest to participate. We work in communities all over the world. We can take messages directly to the churches, the mosques, the temples, which we operate in because we are hiring people who are making a difference to the community. So there is tremendous amount of multiple channels that we can get the message out. And of course, not to underestimate, technology and getting the message out through technology is the most cost-effective and efficient way of getting this message out there. So very excited to be part of this. I think a lot of corporations have expressed their interest. It's phenomenal. A lot of the initial reaction of the corporations are how do they really contribute. They all understand the idea. How practical can they roll this message inside onto the consumers? So we've been working with them on change management, how they can really participate. But I think many of the corporations would find this agenda to be extremely productive because you've made it very simple. You know, if you look at the past, peace is an ethereal concept, and they really haven't translated that into actionable, specific, simple things one can do. But the whole notion of peace one day, by making one simple day where you can celebrate, you can think about it, you can apologize to someone, you have done something, those things have made it very simple and actionable. And people understand that, corporations can understand it. And I can tell you, many of the corporations, and you and I have talked about a number of times, we've seen some of the major corporations reacting in our meetings. It's fascinating. The more corporations are stepping in, like UST Global, the more confident the other corporations will become to jump into this bandwagon. So I'm excited.